The third game in the My Time series, which includes My Time at Portia and My Time at Sandrock, has announced that there's going to be a Kickstarter for their third game later this month. I'm going to dive into everything we know about this game as a super fan of the series, and because I can't help myself, I'm going to add in a little bit of theorizing about things that we might see in this game. On September 5th, Pathea Games posted an update and said the third game in the My Time series is called My Time at Evershine. They said we're launching a Kickstarter campaign later this month, and they'll be officially announcing the game later this month when the trailer and the Steam page go up. We have this splash image here, which gives us a little bit of insight into the environment and the characters. They also gave us 2 screenshots that show characters and environments again. They've also posted a little bit of behind the scenes stuff on Reddit, so we're going to go through and analyze that. We're going to talk about the art style, we're going to talk about the setting, we're going to talk about the characters, and we're going to talk about a controversy that happened soon after the Kickstarter was first announced. The first thing that stands out to me in all of the images that we've seen is that the art style has undergone a dramatic shift. They're definitely leaning into more realistic proportions for their characters, which is something that the developers have said on Discord that they know that people have been asking for. I think that this shift is something that has been gradually happening throughout the series. The proportions are still a bit cartoony in Sandrock, but they are a little bit more realistic than they were in My Time at Portia, and My Time at Evershine obviously has much more realistic proportions. One thing that the developers have shared is a comparison of a character that is going to be returning to the game, Avery. We'll talk more about him later on in the video. On the left-hand side, you can see the character in the old art style, and then on the right side is the character as he's going to appear in My Time at Evershine. So it really is a pretty drastic difference when you're looking at them side by side. They also shared a 3D model of the character in the game, which again just shows you how drastic of a change it is. And if I may, he is looking very, very good. As far as the environments go, it also looks like we're going to be getting a lot more realism in the environments as well. We haven't seen a ton of the environments just yet, but you can see the trees and the grass here, which are looking a lot more realistic than they do in My Time at Portia and My Time at Sandrock. Next, let's talk about the setting of the game, which is something that I have a lot of thoughts on as someone who is a super nerd for the lore of this series. The game is called My Time at Evershine, and going by the naming conventions of the previous 2 games, that means that Evershine is going to be the name of the city or the town or the location where the game takes place. But what I think is really interesting is that Evershine is not a currently known city in the world of the My Time series. The only 2 places that we've seen in a game are obviously Portia and Sandrock, but we have gotten mention of a couple of other locations. We've seen characters that come from places like Barnarock and Atara. The player character in My Time at Sandrock is originally from Highwind, and I always assumed that if we got another installment in the series that it would be located in one of those cities that has already mentioned, but it's not. It's located in Evershine. So the big question is, where is Evershine? And I have some theories. In My Time at Sandrock, there's a character named Musa, and he's an investor, and there's a whole plot line revolving around the people of Sandrock trying to impress Musa so that he will invest some money in the town. Now, while he's there, he discusses something called the Northern Development Plan, which is basically a plan where they want to add settlements along the edge of the Eufaula Desert. This is going to be near the border with Duvos. Duvos is a country that is north of the Alliance of Free Cities, and they are very antagonistic towards the Alliance. Part of the Northern Development Plan is obviously to create settlements, but another reason for that is by having the development close to the border with Duvos, it will make it harder for them to have additional incursions into the Free Cities undetected. Musa actually at one point thinks Sandrock is a lost cause, and he offers to move everybody from Sandrock to the settlements in the Northern Development Plan. He says, I can move you all out to the Northern Eufaula, where the Alliance is setting up new settlements with their North Development Plan. They have water up there, unexplored ruins, and grazing grass. So it seems very likely to me that this is where the game takes place. It would explain why we've never heard of it. It's a brand new settlement, and Musa's description of the area does match the screenshots we've seen, and having unexplored ruins really lends itself nicely to being the setting of a My Time game, because if you've played any of the games, you know that exploring ruins is a really big part of the game. All right, now let's talk about characters. I have some information and I also have some theories. Just as a warning, this section is going to have spoilers for the end of My Time at Portia. Once we get to that part, I will let y'all know. So one thing we do know is that Avery is returning, as I mentioned earlier. He is a fan favorite that showed up very briefly in My Time at Sandrock. Avery is the commander of the the Alliance forces, and he visits Sandrock in order to help defend it from Duvos. Your interaction with him is very limited. He kind of just walks around for a little while and you can talk to him and he has a couple things to say, but there's no way to actually build up a friendship with him or anything like that. It's pretty much been confirmed that Avery is going to be romanceable, so I know a lot of people, including myself, are very happy about that. His new model looks great. I think he looks amazing and I am so excited to get to know him better. If this game does take place near the Duvos border, it would make sense for Avery to be there because he is the commander of the Alliance forces, and it would make sense for him to be there to kind of oversee the security of the new settlement, so that would make a lot of sense as well. There are characters on the splash image, and we've also been shown these concept designs for the characters as well. Some of these characters we actually know who they are already because they were a part of a previous project that Pathea was doing called Project Me. I'm not going to go too much into the history of all that, but it basically seems that my time at Evershine has kind of evolved from the bones of Project Me, and so some of the characters are carrying over, like Avery, like this character right here who is named Rudy, this character here who is named Pana, but I think they all look amazing and I am so excited to get to know these characters. It's also proving pretty impossible for me to pick who it is that I'm going to romance, although I have to be true to myself, and as somebody who dearly wished that I could romance or at least get to know Avery in my time at Sandrock, I think I need to be true to myself and romance Avery. This is where I'm getting into the My Time at Portia spoilers, so if you haven't finished the game and you don't want any spoilers for the ending, this is your warning. Go ahead and skip ahead to this time right here. So we see this character at the top left-hand side, and there is a theory floating around that this is finally going to be the return of Adit from My Time at Portia. Adit is a romanceable character from My Time at Portia who actually disappears towards the end of the game. And if you are married to him, he will actually divorce the player. He'll completely disappear and he sends you a letter that says, due to a couple of reasons that I cannot disclose, I have to leave for now. We have no idea where he's been, but I have seen Pathea developers hint a few times like, oh, he could come back. Maybe he'll come back. Who knows? What I think is interesting is that a lot of people think that Adit is the Rogue Knight. The Rogue Knight is an antagonist that appears towards the end of the game. It is very commonly speculated that Adit is actually the Rogue Knight for a couple of different reasons. Number one, there's a teddy bear that Adit leaves behind that wears goggles that are similar to the Rogue Knight. The timing of it all is a little bit suspicious because Adit's disappearance coincides with the defeat of the Rogue Knight. This is actually something that is addressed in special dialogues with some of the townsfolk. There's also some behind the scenes stuff that implies that, for example, the Rogue Knight's sword texture file contains Adit's name and his audio files are located in the same folder as Adit's audio files. So it's definitely something that is commonly speculated, and what I think is really interesting is that when I'm looking at this picture, it's kind of reminding me a lot of the Rogue Knight. Obviously, we never saw the Rogue Knight's face in My Time at Portia, but one really important thing about the Rogue Knight is his sword, and this character right here is holding a sword. He's also wearing red. The Rogue Knight was wearing red, and while the character doesn't look exactly like Adit, there are some similarities. For example, the shape of the beard, the hair color, the complexion is really similar to Adit's. I'm really wondering if that could be him. I would absolutely love to see the return of Adit. He was one of my favorite characters in My Time at Portia. I love a little bit of mystery and I love a little bit of intrigue, so I think that is really awesome. I'm really excited about all these characters. I think they all look amazing. Based on just their appearances, it looks like we're going to have a lot of different personalities and character types represented, so I am very excited about that. Next, let's talk a little bit about some controversy that sprung up pretty quickly after the splash image was first revealed. Shortly after it was posted, the company was accused of using AI to create this splash image. In response to the accusations, they released a showcase of each draft used when creating the art, but they did confirm that they use AI tools to assist their human illustrators. So Yang at Pathea Games shared a statement. He said, "We'd like to clarify that our artwork is primarily crafted by our talented team of skilled artists. While we use various tools to enhance certain details, the heart of our creative process is driven by human artistry." Zeed, the person in charge of the studio's art, added, "Regarding the title image, as far as I know, after talking to our lead concept artist, he did use AI to make some wrinkles and hair more pronounced, but that's it. He was adamant that he painted every single asset you see. Of course, now we know this is a hot button issue. It has never come up in our studio before because we don't use it. He also said, okay guys, I can officially and categorically say that we have never used any AI generated assets in any of our games, nor will we use them in Evershine, simply because if even one AI asset gets found, we would be taken off of the Steam store. Plus, our artists fundamentally are against using AI to create art. We do use AI generated images, just like other screenshots, photos, and art pieces, as references. Obviously, the use of AI in the games industry and in art and really everywhere is an extremely hot button issue, but I'm glad that the studio came out and addressed the controversy, confirmed what was going on. They seem like they're being honest, which is something that I do really appreciate. The Kickstarter for this game is coming later this month. I will definitely be posting an update when that happens. We will probably be getting a lot more information about the game, about the setting, about the characters, and who knows what else. Super, super excited to see that, and I will update y'all when that comes. Thank you so much for watching. Let me know in the comments how you're feeling about this game. Are you excited? What do you think of the art style? Do you like it better than previous games? Do you miss the art style of the previous games? Let me know down in the comments. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye, everyone.